I'm Alex R. Wagner, and this is No News is News.
I think that's just don't follow the fucking sky, you know?
I've been gone since the election. Yay, yay, victory, victory, victory for all. Victory for all human beings that are human. But the one thing that I will point out is that the media is definitely dying and or dead with trust, especially the mainstream media news sources. And that's why No News is going to be back every single day, or at least most days that I can be, as I just moved to Austin, Texas to restart this podcast back up from the ground up. So, without further ado, Donald Trump and Elon Musk singing God Bless America. What's more American than that? What's more American? You tell me what's more American. America? Huh? Anything? I don't think so. Donald Trump had a bunch of different nominations that he pointed out and sent to the media, and everybody decided to start freaking out about. And the first one is the Secretary of Defense. He just nominated some Fox News guy. Just some guy from Fox News. Here's just some guy from Fox News talking on stage and articulating a lot better than the current Mr. Big Mac, fat, black guy, McGee, Secretary of Defense, that just decides to go to hospitals and doesn't tell anybody.
People outside these walls, some of the press that are covering this, they don't understand the attachment that conservatives and freedom lovers have to Donald Trump, to the former president. They don't get it. They think it's some sort of a misinformation, cultish thing, cult of personality. Oh, they love the bravado. That's not what it is. I'll explain why we love them in one military analogy. I was a platoon leader in Iraq. I was an infantry platoon leader in the Army. And the one situation you know is the most dangerous situation that you don't want to find your platoon stuck in is what's called a near ambush. So you're walking through a neighborhood and you walk into a near ambush, meaning the enemy has the high ground. They're concealed, and you're stuck in what's called the kill zone on the X, and they've got you pinned down. Rifles, grenades, everything. You're right there in the kill zone. You don't want to be there. You're dead if you're in the kill zone, for the most part, unless you act. Okay? The battle drill for being in the kill zone of a near ambush is definitely not crouch down and hope you survive, because it's never going to happen. Your only option is to immediately seek cover, immediately pop your grenade, throw it, and then charge toward the enemy that you still can't see. That's your only option if you want to survive. This is all metaphorically, of course, for the media out there. Right? Caveat necessary. It's your only hope. All right? Well, Republicans for decades, for years, have sat in the kill zone and said, just kind of like us. We're okay. We're not that bad. We're okay. We're nice behind our podiums, dressed up like this, hey, everybody, we're going to cut taxes just a little bit more. It doesn't work. Donald Trump said it's time to throw the grenades and charge at the enemy.
Fox News guy for Secretary of Defense. That sounds great. Fox News guy every time for Secretary of Defense. It's the military. It should be run by Fox News at this point. That was great. We had our first woman chief of staff. That was also awesome. So who do you have, Mr. Trump, for the most important position of all? Attorney General. Matt Gaetz, really. Matt Gaetz is really going to... We're less than a week in, people, and we're already having to defend Matt Gaetz.
I don't think I'm divulging or betraying any confidences to say that when we told you the news, you were in disbelief.
Are you not entertained? I mean, this is the most entertaining transition I've ever seen. No, I was as surprised as Paula, because it's not a name that we had seen. You know, we'd seen some reporting, a lot of different names, frankly, a lot of really sort of well-heeled Washington legal types that were on the list. So I'm as surprised as anyone. But what I take away from this is that this is a president-elect who is feeling his power. I mean, this is someone who is appointing people to things, whether it's Gaetz or anything else we've seen today, who is feeling his power, feeling his influence, doesn't feel like he's in a mood to negotiate with the people in Washington, D.C. He's here to do what he wants to do, and he's going to expect the Republicans to fall in line. Now, all these people, whether it's Gaetz or Hegseth or anyone else, have to go to confirmation and go through these committee hearings and prove themselves like anyone else. But it is apparent to me that Trump is in a decisive mood and is not someone who's interested in picking things that he would consider to be watered down. So
I don't know if Matt Gaetz did it, but Matt Gaetz might have been on P. Diddy's island. I don't know. It's all weird. But here's Mike Johnson saying, ain't nothing weird about it. Me and Matt Gaetz, we were classmates in Congress.
Matt and I were classmates. We came to Congress at the same time in the 115th Congress in January 2017. And alphabetically, we're seated right next to one another in Judiciary Committee. We served there together for 7 years. Some of y'all who cover Judiciary know those are long meetings. So I got to know Matt very well. Look, I'll say this. Everyone who served with him will tell you he's one of the most intelligent members of Congress. He's an accomplished attorney. He's very concerned about the lawfare that has been occurring in the Department of Justice under the Biden administration, and the fact that the American people have lost their faith in our institutions of justice because of everything that they've seen. He's a reformer in his mind and heart, and I think that he'll bring a lot to the table on that. I think out of deference to us, he issued his resignation letter effective immediately of Congress. That caught us by surprise a little bit, but I asked him what the reasoning was, and he said, well, you can't have too many absences. So under Florida state law, there's about an 8-week period to select and fill a vacant seat. And so by doing so today, that allows me, I've already placed a call to Governor DeSantis in Florida and said, let's start the clock. He's in Italy at the moment, and so we're going to talk first thing in the morning about this. And if we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office for the new Congress. So Matt would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly. And so we're grateful for that.
He's just leaving today not to avoid an investigation by us and us releasing the findings less than a week from now, but he's just giving up that position tonight so that there can be a new election for his seat before January 6th. Right. Okay. Glad we're defending Matt Gaetz already. I don't know if he's guilty or not, but shit's getting wild. CNN over here can call pretty much anyone in the world that they want to go against Matt Gaetz. And who did they choose? Michael Bolton.
Well, I thought it was the worst cabinet level appointment in history until they then heard about the Matt Gaetz appointment. Really, my reaction was that this is like the legend of Caligula, the Roman emperor, who wanted to nominate his horse as a Roman consul.
The man thinks Donald Trump is going to nominate a horse to a secretary position. Do better, CNN. Do better. Ever since being nominated, Hakeem Jeffries has slowly been becoming the black version of Chuck Schumer. I don't know how he does it. His pigment's even getting, he's just, the man is getting lighter. He kind of looks like Palpatine.
Do you expect that they're all going to be confirmed?
Well, I certainly would be surprised if that in fact was the case based on some of the reaction from some of the moderate Republican senators to several of these selections. But at the end of the day, what's going to be most important is that both the House and the Senate commit to functioning as a separate and co-equal branch of government, and that we elevate the principle of being a check and balance on a potentially out-of-control executive branch. That is the vision of James Madison and the framers of the Constitution as to what we should be doing in the House and in the Senate. And House Democrats are committed to just solving the problems that the American people want us to solve, which first and foremost relates to lowering costs and making sure that we can help everyday Americans who are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck get ahead and not simply get by.
But I'm speaking to like Hakeem Jeffries from like 2016 right now. Bro, you need to get out. You need to get a time machine and get your future self out of this situation. All right, now on to our second big story of the day. Okay, so our first one was the nominations, and of course, Mr. Matt Gaetz. Boom! Big surprise. Number one story of the day. But number two, liberals on TV complaining that they want to keep their illegal migrants.
Can the state of Illinois prevent the federal government from building internment camps, aka what they're calling detention facilities in Chicago?
Well, we have prohibited by law in the state of Illinois the use of any of our existing county jails or prisons for the purpose of rounding people up and detaining them. I want to be clear that there are certain circumstances in which the federal government, state governments should work together to allow deportation. An example would be somebody who's been convicted of a violent crime. But they're talking about rounding up people who are law-abiding, undocumented immigrants in this country, many of whom are working, paying taxes, not getting any benefits for those taxes, I might add. And we have a law on the books in the state of Illinois called the Trust Act, which prohibits our local law enforcement and sheriffs and the like from coordinating with the federal authorities.
Wanting to keep migrants that you claim to be yours, even though they're not citizens and they don't legally have a right to. It's the same party did something in like it's about 200 years ago. Very similar to slavery. Very similar to slavery. LA County refusing to get rid of migrants. I don't know why, except that they want to pay them illegally. Any kind of defense of this is bizarre to me.
LAPD will protect our immigrant community. LAPD officers will not take action to determine a person's immigration status and will not arrest someone for their status. And LAPD will not assist with mass deportations. Los Angeles is a city of immigrants, and I know immigrants are being disparaged right now, but I want the people of Los Angeles to know my viewpoint. Our nation was built by immigrants, and LA, such an extraordinary city, because of the people here from literally all over the world.
If you get rid of people, if ICE comes and takes them away, and then what your argument has always been that no one will take this job. If no one will take this job and you will not pay more for the job, then the government will subsidize for these people to come back here and legally do these jobs. I think your problem, if you live in LA or even in Austin, Texas, as where I am right now, this West Coast mentality, is that you want to own people. Matt Gaetz, liberal screaming about immigration, and now for the finale, Democrats quit Twitter again, I guess. The view is they're deleting their Twitter profile, their X profiles. They're doing it.
You know, when you look at social media, only 10% of Americans are on social media, and out of the 10%, 80 especially on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, 80% are the loudest, right? So it's kind of a fringe movement, and what I'm happy to hear is that 700,000 people have left that platform. I left too. I'm so much happier now.
Well, I wasn't checking it, but I deactivated it.
Yeah,
but I don't think that we should let our guard down. I mean, the Taliban, I read the Taliban is so happy that we didn't pick a woman, you know?
They're doing it. Oh my God. Everybody. I'm no longer going to be on Snapchat because Snapchat's not a healthy environment for my fan base. I don't have a fan base. At least I'm in reality. I don't know what Dom Lemon's in, but it's not one.
Hi, everyone. I have loved connecting with all of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these years. But it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, transparency and free speech. But I now feel it does not serve that purpose. In addition, starting this Friday, November 15th, X is implementing new terms of service, which among other things states that, quote, all disputes be brought exclusively in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas or state courts located in Tarrant County, Texas, end quote. The full terms of service can be found on my written statement or on the X website. Now, as the Washington Post recently reported on X's decision to change the terms, this, quote, ensures that such lawsuits will be heard in courthouses that are a hub for conservatives, which experts say could make it easier for X to shield itself from litigation and punish critics. I think that speaks for itself. You can find me on YouTube at The Don Lemon Show.
I'm Alex R. Wagner. This was November 14th. No news is news. I'll see you all tomorrow for maybe a watch party, because the Tyson fight is tomorrow, which I just realized. I completely forgot.